Hey everyone, it's Denise Brown from caringourway.com. I was thinking today about my experience caring for my dad, and I was thinking about 6 days before he died and 4 days before he died. And I thought specifically about those 2 days because I was impatient with him. And I said a couple unkind things. And I thought about that because I read an advice columnist who answered a letter from a former family caregiver who cared for his dad. And in the letter, the son shared that he had made his dad cry about a week before his dad died. And he is struggling with the guilt and the regret. And I think that is a common struggle. During our caregiving experience, we have very little time. We just power through. After caregiving ends, we have time. But in some ways, that time becomes the enemy because we have time to think about what we did that we now regret. After those 2 days where I shared, oh my heavens, I'm frustrated with you, and then I was unkind to him, I spoke to my niece about it. And she helped me understand that I was simply being human during a human experience. I used to compare myself and how I interacted with my dad, with my siblings. And I often, well, I wouldn't say often, but there was another time that I was really upset with him. Okay, there was there was other times. I'll just say that because every time I think, oh, it was just one more time, really was more than that. There were other times that I was upset and angry with my dad. And my siblings weren't, except they would be sharing with me, that, oh my gosh, can you believe he did this and said this? They didn't actually share it with him. And I used to think, what's wrong with me that I was the one that shared it with him, that I was upset and frustrated? And I thought it was because those siblings were intermittent. I was permanent. I was there. They were in and out. So, of course, I'm going to have a human experience that really shows my vulnerability, like expressing those emotions that we think are so awful, like anger and frustration. Of course, I got angry and frustrated with him. Of course. And I think if I had bottled it up, I wouldn't have been able to stay present with him. If I had bottled it up, I would have thought, I am so frustrated by his self-centeredness. I am not helping him today. Instead, I released it and continued helping him. I realized that I thought, oh my gosh, wow. And in truth, my dad never held it against me. He received those messages of anger and frustration and kind of was like, hey, okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And so I kept going. It was okay. So releasing myself of trying to be perfect as a human during the most human experience of caregiving released me to stay in that experience. One other insight about regrets. We have a tendency to judge how we did based on small parts of a really big experience. We have to look at the whole experience. We cannot judge ourselves by a few moments within a big experience. And if we look at the big experience, we remember those moments we showed up, the moments that we stayed that were really difficult. And yet we showed up and we stayed. And those are the moments to keep. The other moments where we think, oh my gosh, I just was kind of not my best. That's just a human experience. And again, if we think about that as the moments that helped us stay, It changes how we look at those small moments, which allows us then to really think about the big experience of doing something really difficult and challenging and hard and overwhelming and staying. I'll link to a few more thoughts in our show notes. And in the advice column, the advice columnist recommends my book. And in the links that I'll share, you are welcome to take a look at my book, which is about After Caregiving Ends. And it's called After Caregiving Ends, A Guide to Beginning Again. Okay, thanks so much. And please feel free to share what helps you when the regrets start to really hold you, when you think, oh my gosh, I can't move past this regret. Okay, thanks so much.